Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's another episode of the Spartan Shadows podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris. I'm joined with my co hosts, Zack and Emmett. We're back with our weekly episode. It's Hate Week, rivalry week against Michigan. A battle for the Paul Bunyan Trophy will be taking place tomorrow at 7:30. Night game in East Lansing. Why this is a night game, I don't know, but hey, we'll take it. Get all day to think about it. Get pumped up. A few extra cocktails before heading to the stadium, maybe responsibly, of course.
Yep.
So we'll see how it comes out, but we're here to talk Michigan, of course. We're here to talk a little bit of the recap of the Indiana game last week, recap your basketball and hockey happenings from the past week, and get you all ready to go for tomorrow's game. So, Zack, Emmett, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Obviously, really excited. It's Hate Week, it's Michigan Week. Obviously, everyone's extremely excited. It's been a little quiet, though, on Twitter. There hasn't been as many arguments, which is a little unusual. I feel like that will truly start probably tomorrow as we get closer to game time. But MSU released that they're wearing the all greens. Last time that happened was 2021, so you absolutely love to see that. And they released a video earlier today. I think it was TJ Duckett, Kent Walker, and Javon Ringer, which was an awesome video, which obviously got, I know, all of us excited. 7:30, not necessarily super surprising. It seems like they've been doing late night games for MSU Michigan the last couple of years. So should be a fun matchup. We'll definitely talk about that a little bit more here shortly. How are you doing, Emmett?
I'm doing good. Like you guys have said, you don't really see as much of, I would say, the fire right now for the rivalry. There's a lot less banter. I would say there's a lot less banter and just almost a feeling of, okay, no one has any idea how this goes. It could be a close MSU victory, it could be a close Michigan victory, or it could be a lot like 2023 where it's a huge beatdown. We don't really know because there is the sports books say that Michigan by 2 touchdowns, and then we all just don't know which Michigan State team is going to show up. And I think we can segue that straight to the Indiana game last week because, frankly, after UCLA, a lot of us were predicting bad scores. We were predicting like Indiana to put up in the 50s and Michigan State to struggle to score if they score.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I know part of that uneasy feeling was just because of how good Indiana's looked this year. They're up currently the number 2 team in the country, but going into the game last week was number 3. Spartans came out and actually, I thought, put together a pretty decent first half. End of the half, they went down, 21-10 at halftime. But after, end of the first quarter, it was a 1-score game, for most of the first half. And the Spartans came out of the gate kind of clicking. The offense looked like it was, I don't want to say firing on all cylinders, but it was certainly operating at a better clip than it was the past couple of weeks. And they were executing pretty decently. Aiden Childs had a pretty efficient game overall, 27-33 for 243 yards and a touchdown pass. Also added 48 yards on the ground. Unfortunately, the run game continues to struggle a decent amount. Aiden happened to be our leading rusher against Indiana. That's something that's going to have to change a little bit tomorrow if we want to beat Michigan, but we'll get into that a little bit more. Unfortunately, third quarter ended up being rough for the Spartans. 14 more points from Indiana kind of put the game away, and then Spartans added a late field goal to cover the spread. So if you bet MSU to cover the spread, hey, you were probably pretty happy about that meaningless field goal. Jonathan Smith had said after the game that he wanted to use it because it was crappy kicking conditions and he wanted to get that experience. So
it was awful weather. As someone at that game, my photographer said for post-game pictures and taking photos and everything, he threw his raincoat over his camera and hoped for the best because rain was swirling in that area. There was a weather delay right before the start of the second half. Just overall, it was not the best day for the second half. You had rain and everything, and I believe Alessio Milivojevic was staring at like a 4th and 17 situation before they trotted out the field goal unit. So that was Smith's explanation. I think he was just covering the spread after the timeout war where that forced Signetti to beat the spread. So personally, I just think it was Smith being petty, but we'll go with rain swirling and everything.
I was just going to say, what head coach isn't kind of petty, though? I feel like a lot of head coaches are kind of petty. They
I
won't
do think
admit to it, but they typically are. And I know it actually had a lot of people upset about it, but also if you know anything about this MSU team, like there's been multiple times where they backdoored covered with a late field goal, a late score anyways. So like
I believe they did against Oregon last year too.
yeah, are
Yeah,
we really even that surprised by it to be completely honest with each other?
I
Yeah, I
personally
don't think
hardly
you're
ever
right.
bet spreads on MSU, and I bet a decent amount, and I hardly ever do it. Some of it's for my own sanity, just because I get frustrated with this team, and games that come out where I think they should be able to win or cover, and then they just lay an egg. But the other one is just that they're hard to predict. They're hard to see
Yeah,
which team comes out,
Correct.
and that's been the consistency key under Jonathan Smith, really. I mean, even last year, like Emmett said, they come out and they play well against Oregon and cover and don't get completely blown out, and then they go and lose games that they probably shouldn't, or get blown out in games that you don't expect them to get blown out in. So overall, though, Indiana, just to kind of wrap a bow on that, Nick Marsh was kind of unleashed a little bit finally. Seven
yep,
catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Obviously, going to need him to be more involved for the offense to keep operating at a better level. And then I know Aiden Childs had gotten hurt. He was kind of
He was
hurt coming into the
he was
game as is, but
questionable. I would say like he wasn't questionable, but there was a lot of concern on if they were playing him, whether they should play him, etc.
yeah,
And those questions were kind of amplified when you saw Rylan Jesse make the travel roster, which Jesse has never traveled in his career until last weekend. He made the travel roster. Obviously, only Alessio Milivojevic and Aiden Childs played. Alessio playing that final drive or two when the game was out of hand. But yeah,
yeah,
that was also, shout out for Aiden. That is a MSU record, 20 completed passes in a row. And also his 64-yard run in the third or fourth quarter. The fourth was a personal high for him for longest rush. So quick
yeah.
shout out there. And then also one more thing, if we're giving flowers for that Indiana game, Bryson Williams making his debut, getting a catch for 8 yards on like his first snap. Quick shout out there.
Absolutely. My biggest takeaway from Indiana is that MSU actually won the time of possession battle. They controlled the clock pretty well. That's what kept it close for the majority of the game. I think, like we had talked about on the episode before the game, if they came out and lost the toss, then Indiana went down and just quickly scored to go up big. It might
yeah,
have been a more demoralizing thing that could have set the game off the rails quickly. But MSU had won the toss, kind of methodically went down the field and scored. Sorry, MSU on their first drive, I should say, went down the field and kind of, executed the way they wanted to. And then that kind of led to a theme of us controlling the game when we had the ball. And that's something moving forward that's going to be MSU's blueprint to success. If they're going to beat Michigan tomorrow, they're going to have to control the time of
For sure.
possession. They're going to have to probably
yeah,
win the turnover battle. They're going to have to cut down on penalties. Last week was better, but not great. They still had 6 penalties for about 50 yards of penalty yardage, roughly rounding. So that's definitely something you're going to have to watch if you're MSU, especially coming into this game where Nick Marsh has already said it. He's expecting cheap shots. He's expecting some after the whistle stuff, some rivalry things that you expect to happen. MSU's got to be really disciplined in not getting involved in that extracurricular stuff because
yeah.
it's normally the one that retaliates that gets the penalty in general. Can't be baited tomorrow going into that. I guess real quickly, guys, anything else you wanted to add on Indiana before I transition us to Michigan?
Not really. I feel like we've kind of addressed a lot of that. And I think you kind of maybe transitioned us a little bit over to
Mm-hmm.
Michigan right there, anyways, to be completely honest with you,
Yeah.
because I think it's one of those things going into this game. We talked about like the amount of completions Aiden Childs had in a row, 20 completions in a row, MSU record, stuff like that. We saw him against Indiana truly kind of gain a little bit of his confidence back. And I think going into this Michigan game is absolutely huge for MSU. I do still think there's some questions on like his deep ball, stuff like that. I think he's going to have to probably hit on a couple of them in this game to at least force Michigan to respect it. Do I think they're still going to take shots down the field? Absolutely. We've seen this under Brian Lindgren. But I also think a huge part of this game is obviously going to be the run game. And we all know that Michigan, if Justice Hayes does play, we all do know the possibility of him going off for a big run. They have Jordan Marshall. It's going to really truly be about how MSU is going to run the ball. And I'm not saying MSU has to run the ball extremely well. I'm not saying MSU has to run the ball like it was back in 2021 or prior to that when MSU was winning these games convincingly. But the thing that I found really interesting about MSU is we all talked about how last year they struggled running the ball besides 2 games. One of those games were Iowa, the other game was Michigan. And I don't know if it's just the fact that it's Michigan. I don't know if it's the fact that this offensive line just gets a little bit more ready to go in these games. But I'm not saying it's going to be great, but I'm kind of expecting a decent run game against Michigan. I'm not expecting anything elite. Do I think this front seven for Michigan is still really good? Yeah. Do I think they're as good as they have been in the past years? No, I honestly don't. And if MSU can run the ball with Mekhi Frazier, if they can get a little bit of the run game going, I think that's going to truly help MSU because we've seen what happens with Michigan on the road when they go down early. And Bryce Underwood has struggled on the road. He's kind of struggled under Sharon Moore per se. I think really his best kind of games, besides really the second half against Washington, was without Sharon Moore, if we're going to be completely honest with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to truly be about running the ball, continue to win the time of possession. And last week I said I want MSU to take because I truly thought MSU needed to get out to a lead to even give them a chance.
Mm-hmm.
This week I'm kind of feeling a little bit different. Now, would I love MSU to take the ball if they got the opportunity to go up 7-0? Absolutely, I would. But I'm almost kind of pointing to, like, what if MSU goes defense and gets a stop on the first drive? Like, set the tone defensively. I know we've talked about this defense not being very good at all. But if you get a stop, if you force Bryce Underwood to make a mistake in that first drive or they don't get the run game going, I think that's truly going to be the moment that the crowd gets going.
And being at home too, I think that's a way to use the home crowd to your momentum best effectively, I guess. You're going to come out amped. You're going to come out with that little extra juice and have that little extra energy. Try to use that to your potential. Get a quick stop. Get Bryce Underwood in a hostile environment to where he's forced to make decisions quickly and maybe, not make the right decision or sail a ball or do something. Yep. You get a stop or you get a turnover, then Spartan Stadium is going crazy. Then you have momentum. Go down to the field, score. Even a field goal would get the game off on the right foot, and then you have the luxury of getting the ball out of the half after regrouping and, at halftime. So yep. I kind of agree with you there. I think being at home and being this game specifically, this rivalry, it's intense, and the emotion's going to be, it can backfire. Certainly you can come out a little too aggressive and get burned, but if you can harness it right and take advantage, that's, I think, your best optimal scenario.
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys. And like statistically, you have to be able to run the ball well if you want to win this rivalry. It's like outside, I think last year was an exception. Michigan State did outrush them, but usually if you outrush the other team, if you outrush the school down the road or up the road for you, you win about 90% of the time, I want to say, in the history of the rivalry.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so that's going to be the key, is finding a way to get your running attack going, whether that's designating Aiden Childs and having him get 50 yards on the ground, in addition to Mekhi hopefully getting 75, 100 yards. Whether that's and Elijah Toliver really took that running back 2 role last week based on snap count breakdowns. Tolis was only on the field for 9 snaps compared to Toliver's 22. So whether it's relying on Toliver to carry the load a little bit, get him involved in some outside game. We saw him have a toss or two that was successful. We saw him have a little swing pass that was wide open if he didn't drop it, stuff like that. Yep. And it's a matter of you have to be able to be under control with the rivalry, avoid stupid penalties, and play disciplined football, which for this team, even not in rivalry games, has been a struggle.
A little bit.
Playing disciplined football, and it just seemed like you have one defensive lapse or the other, and this team sees a little bit of adversity and has gotten themselves knocked out of games before.
All I want is a complete 4 quarters from MSU.
We haven't saw that happen in any game in the Smith era, so that is a bold ask. I will.
It is a big ask, but like Smith talked about it, like how much this game means, and like how much this means to former players, current players, how much they've learned about it. Like it's almost
You
to
can
the
say how
point
much
of
it means, but you have to prove it on field. Is my counterpoint.
yeah,
Like
no,
Thank you.
this
absolutely,
is a game where Smith, Lindgren, and Rossi, they've entered the stage of the year where they're playing for their jobs next year.
Yeah.
If they want to be in East Lansing next year, they have to leave it all on the field. And
yeah,
you have to play like you have to, on Saturday night, you have to play like the sun's not coming on Sunday morning.
yeah,
You have to throw the entire playbook. You have to maybe take that extra risk that you wouldn't take if you're sitting at 5-2. That risk where,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not going to show my entire playbook because there's Minnesota next week. There's Penn State in 3 weeks, stuff like that. You don't have that luxury anymore. You are playing on a you have to play like you're on a week by week basis. And I could see that going both ways. You can see unknown looks and stuff that could result in big plays for MSU. Or you could have something that looks obviously half baked and not fully prepared.
yeah.
But I think you have to be willing to take that risk at this point just to try. You have to show something besides just the score on your first 2 drives and fold like a cheap lawn chair.
Yep.
Well, and to be perfectly honest with you, to go off that too, Emmett, this game will set the tone for the rest of the season. If you fold in this game, the rest of the season is done. There's no coming. It just looks like the season is going to be going downhill, and it's going to be hard to pull off the map from this. If
And
you come out and win this game, I was going to say
the question becomes Smith, Rossi, or Lindgren, or all 3, or someone. Do they end up losing their job in the next 2 weeks? Do they lose their job after Minnesota with the bye week to try to help settle everything down?
Yep.
So that really becomes the concern. If they lose, do they lose their job on Sunday? That becomes the question you have to ask.
And to answer that really quickly, I don't think so. I have a feeling regardless of what happens, at most you're going to see a coordinator fired. It's going to be hard to justify firing Jonathan Smith in season, I think, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Just how things shake out, just how that goes, I think it's going to be hard to justify firing him at all this year.
I agree. I'm just posing the
But-
question that becomes what you have to ask if it is a disappointing flat loss, like, for example, UCLA was.
Yeah,
Because
but
you can have that debate. If the Indiana game, the team didn't show the fight in the first 2 quarters and they got blown out 52-3, we can have the debate if Jonathan Smith would be head coaching this team.
But to counterpoint that, if you win this game tomorrow, that sets up the rest of your season. It gives fans tangible hope that you can go to Iowa and beat Iowa. It gives, I mean, the remaining schedule isn't shaping up to be a bunch of world beaters we're going to have to take on. Penn State, obviously, we all know what's happened there. Their season has tanked completely. They suddenly look way more beatable than that game did before the start of the season, and that's in East Lansing too, isn't it? If I remember,
that is senior day.
Yeah.
Yep. So that game becomes more winnable. Iowa hasn't looked great. I mean, they've looked better than before, but they haven't looked like a world beater. They're not the same Iowa of old. Minnesota's playing well, but they're not playing. You know, we're not talking about the Ohio States and Oregons of the conference, or the Indianas again, for that matter.
Exactly.
Which is crazy to say, but
yeah. But if you come out and show something tomorrow, at least the fan base has tangible hope for the rest of the season that something can get pieced together, and that Jonathan Smith rightfully deserves to hang on to his job, which I think, like I said, he's probably going to do into next year, regardless of what happens. But
yeah,
there's at least evidence to support that. So, to piggyback, you do have to come out and coach like your job's on the line, even though it might not be. And J-Bat may have already assured you that you have your job, at least through the season. Like, I don't know what happens behind closed doors in that building, but for all we know, he could have assurances that his job's safe. But the more you let this flatness lie, the more questions are going to need to be answered. And I don't know if the coaching staff has got all the answers to save themselves for everything. So it's a very important game. It's especially with how the coaching staff has kind of went to the media about this game. I truly believe that maybe last year Jonathan Smith thought he was ready for this game and then went through it, and turns out he wasn't. I hate to admit that Obviously, when you hire somebody here, this game is the most important game and it needs to be expressed to that. But it seems like the staff and even some of the players kind of just maybe reading between the lines of what Aiden said this week, or some of the other players that were first time MSU players last year that weren't quite prepared for the level of rivalry, the level of animosity in this. I think they all realize it. I think they all know what it is, and they're ready for it this year. And you see that with players like Kenneth Walker coming back to campus today and speaking to the team. You had Coach Manning coming back and speaking to the team. You've had TJ Duckett. You've had, X, Y, and Z former player coming in and talking about how much this game means to everybody. So I think that's taken more of a forefront, but now you have to go out and show it and say, hey, we understand what this game means. Yeah, we probably took it a little bit for granted last year, didn't quite fully grasp the seriousness of it. We've got it this year. We're ready to rock, and we're going to come out firing tomorrow. So show it. That's all we got to say at this point, because we need it. This fan base needs it a heck of a lot after the last few years. So
for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's all I got. Zach, you want to add anything before we get into predictions or anything?
No, I was just going to say, let's get into our predictions. I'm interested to see what both of you have for this game.
Yep. So I'll just open it up. 7:30 kick, like I said. Game's going to be televised on NBC and Peacock.
7:45 now.
What was that?
They moved it back to 7:45 kick.
Oh, well, sorry. 7:45 kick.
Well, I'm annoyed about it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it starts between the hours of 7 and 8 tomorrow on NBC and Peacock. And MSU is going in currently on ESPN Bet. They're 13.5-point underdogs. I have a feeling that line will move a little bit tomorrow. Injury reports coming out obviously are going to play a factor in that. If you see a bunch of MSU players out that you maybe thought were going to go, that could shift. Likewise for Michigan. Michigan has a lot of players questionable coming into the game too. So if some of those players don't suit up, then that'll shift it too. ESPN's power analytic football percentage-wise thing, I don't know what you want to call it anymore, gives Michigan an 87.8% chance to win tomorrow. So MSU with 12.2 for those mathematically not gifted people. And I guess that's pretty much prime. So I will start, I guess. I do think this game's close. I do think Jonathan Smith realizes he's coaching probably for job security. I don't think he thinks he's going to be fired anytime soon. But I think the coaching staff realizes if they lose this game and they come out flat, that things are going to get very uncomfortable down the stretch for them. So it's kind of a last stand mentality here. And I think the staff's going to come out firing. I think Aiden realized the totality of this game last year. I mean, even in his presser this week, he said it's more intense than the Civil War with Oregon and Oregon State. It's a rivalry that's not rivaled by many college rivalries, put it like that. So I think the former players and Coach Manny also coming back has helped. I've been seeing a lot of stuff. Maybe I'm buying into a little bit of hype too much, but I do see this game being close. Being in East Lansing, a lot of former players coming to it. I know friend of the program, Brian Lewerke, and the You Are the Program podcasts are in town for it. I think that's going to lead to good vibes. So, you know what?
He's going
31-30 MSU. Probably the last time I'm going to pick them all year, but 31-30 MSU.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if that pays off.
Yep, that means they're going to lose by 30. So, my bad, guys. But
touchdown.
First touchdown for the Spartans. Give me Nick Marsh.
Nice. All right, Zack, what you got?
I'm actually going to follow suit. I don't know why, but
all right.
We're actually being positive. Usually we're more negative, but
don't worry, I'll come through with a big wave of negativity.
Yeah, I was just going to say I'm actually going to make it a bigger spread than one.
Wow.
I'm actually going to think that Michigan State's defense actually shows up in this game, which is probably a really bad bet. It's a really bad bet, but I think they're going to hold Michigan to under 30 points, which they haven't done in a long time, it seems like. But I'm going...
They've held one FBS opponent all year to under 30 points, so that's a bold choice.
It is a bold choice.
Everything's a bold choice, Emmett. We're not supposed to win this game.
It's a rivalry game. You never necessarily know. But I'm going with MSU is going to win 27-20.
Ooh.
And-
touchdown.
And first touchdown score is. I'm going
Okay, the
with.
line back.
It has to be a tight end at this point. We're going Jack
Tyrios.
Tyrios is no. Lasio Milivojevic is going to be out there and catch a touchdown.
Run the Jared Goff play.
Jack Belling.
Jack Belling, okay. So, as much as I want to believe in this program and
come on, join us.
to make it a clean sweep, I
have
can't.
to join us.
I have to be unbiased here, and I think both of you are.
You don't.
No, you don't have. This is a Michigan State
I don't have to
podcast.
be
We're all
unbiased,
biased.
but
We're all biased.
I'm making a prediction here, and just I can't see it. I can't see it, guys. I cannot believe in this program. I need them to bring me back on the bandwagon because I'm so far off the deep end. I'm still looking for the signs from Mel Tucker's era. I'm gonna say 34-20 Michigan.
Ooh.
I can't see it.
You don't even have them covering the spread.
I don't have them covering the spread.
The good thing is, though, is that Emmett picked Michigan, which means it's not a clean sweep, which means that MSU's guaranteed.
We can't get ratioed. We can't have our picks ratioed by the Michigan program.
There you go.
First touchdown, first touchdown, shoot. I was going to go Marsh as well. So just give me, I'm just going to go off the wall wacky. Give me Elijah Tautala.
There you go.
Oh, I like it.
Was the best running back last week, according to statistics.
Statistically, against Indiana for the second year in a row, a non-running back was the leading rusher. Because the last year, Alante Brown was 9 rush yards.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I had a feeling Emmett was going to go that route when we both went. We set him up to be the rational one.
Oh, I was going 34-20 the whole time. When you look, okay, if the Indiana game hadn't happened, 34-10 would have been generous.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say that if the Indiana game hadn't happened the way it did, I probably wouldn't be feeling as confident either.
And we also lost by 25 too.
We lost by 25 and celebrated our coach keeping his job for another week.
Yeah.
I mean, I predicted us to lose to Indiana by 30.
This is a broken man right here.
Yeah.
Hey, we're drinking the Kool-Aid. We're drinking the green and white Kool-Aid, okay?
We're drinking
I need something positive to happen because it's been a long few weeks for me. So I'm just seeing what sticks. But MSU basketball.
Let's go straight to basketball.
Yeah,
MSU basketball had its
hockey real quick.
Yeah, MSU basketball had its first exhibition game yesterday against Bowling Green. The Spartans welcomed them to the Breslin. Coach Tum Tum for Bowling Green. Welcome back to Tum. Always good to see him in East Lansing. Hopefully he's somebody that's on the staff eventually at some point. And Coach Israel said that's the hope as well. But that's neither here nor there. MSU did beat Bowling Green in the exhibition. Final score 75-66. Emmett was there. If you were following along on Twitter, he was providing you with the updates. But Jackson Kohler had a double-double. Jeremy Fears shot 50% from 3.
I was just going to say, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Jeremy Fears sheared it up and shot 50% from 3. And
4 shots. Okay, calm down now. Pump the brakes. Let's calm down. If he shot
50% is 50%.
If he shot 8 and made 50%, I'd be right there with you.
Jeremy Fears is never going to shoot. Never going to make 3 points in it.
Oh, I didn't say he was going to make 8. I said he was going to shoot 50% from
50% is 50%.
If he made 4 in a game, man, I'd be overjoyed.
He went 2 for 4. That's not that bad.
50% is 50%, Emmett. Stop being a negative Nelly.
You know what? If Jeremy Fears shoots 2 for 4 or goes like a 2 for 5 throughout the season, I am thrilled.
Yep.
That's
always good. Anyways, Cohen Carr had a whole bunch of blocks, whole bunch of points.
5 blocks is nuts. 13 blocks on the night for the Spartans, by the way.
Yes. So it was had some good, had some bad. I'll let Emmett kind of dive into that a little bit more, but that was the final score. Next up for the Spartan basketball team is UConn's exhibition, I believe, correct?
Yep, Tuesday.
Yes. On
Tuesday. So yeah.
That's a
guys,
7:30 p.m. tip as well. If we want to talk about time between 7 and 8, that's 7:30 as well.
That's more like 7:32, Emmett. Gosh.
Oh yeah, my bad.
I was just gonna say this time it's almost perfectly in between 7 and 8. The last one wasn't perfect, so it was close enough, but wasn't perfect. But
Honestly,
you can watch that on Yukon Plus, or I think it's
whatever the heck that is.
whatever that is. You can pay $8 to watch it, so go ahead and pay it. I am not
And if
paying
you're a
it.
sick degenerate, you know what, like me, I'm probably gonna watch it. So I covered this in my recap last night. So if you want to watch the full recap, we'll link that in the description. It'll be like the most recent thing besides our interview with Byron Bola before the Michigan game. Speaking of which, check that out. Highly recommend. But yeah, if you want to see my full 3-minute talk on how the game went, check that out in the description. Overall, I think this team is going to have an adjustment period, and I don't think this UConn game is going to look pretty. And it's not that this Michigan State team is bad or the sky is falling or anything. I just think you only have 4 players returning that have a ton of experience with the program. You have Cooper, Spears, Carr, and
Kohler.
I'm blank. Yeah,
Kohler.
and Jackson Kohler. I'm having a day.
One of the best players in our
I agree.
exhibition game, you forget, but go ahead.
Listen, okay, I'm trying my best, but no. So you have those 4, and then really behind that you have Kurtang, who the most minutes he's played in a non-exhibition game is 10 minutes, and then Jesse McCulloch, who redshirted last year, and then all the transfers. So you have a lot of people you're trying to break in right now. And that's not a shot at anyone and saying that they're learning slow or anything. It is just a matter of it's going to take time to really gel the defense, and it's going to take time. The issue that Izzo really had is defensive rebounding, because with their defense being soft, it let a lot of easy layups, so there's less chances for that. And personally, I had a little bit different of an opinion than Izzo in terms of the rebounding. I think when you have 13 blocks in a game, that's 13 chances for a rebound you don't get. So I do think that offset it a little. MSU lost the rebounding battle by 1, I want to say. It was 41-42.
Yeah.
So you have that. I just think that this team is going to need an adjustment period. And I think this UConn game, you might see it get out of hand. You might see MSU struggle to keep it within 15, keep it within 20. But I think that this is October basketball, and you shouldn't read a ton into it. I think it's a great experience for the team, and it is going to be good for them to get that hostile road experience so that they know what they're getting when they have road games in conference play, for example. I mean, obviously, your 2 big matchups are going to be home games with Duke and Arkansas. But I do think that this is going to be a good learning experience for UConn. Isn't going to look pretty, but I think the team's going to get better from it. And come tournament time, I think it is going to be a much closer game. Whether MSU loses by 7 or 27, I think come tournament time, if these 2 teams have to play each other, you are going to be talking about a team that this is going to be as even as it gets, or you might even think MSU's in favor a little bit, is my overall thought towards the team, which obviously we have 1 game to base it off of, so maybe I'm extremely low on them, maybe I'm extremely high on them. That's why the games are played.
Exactly. And I have a few other things I want to talk about, point out. One, at least we won our first exhibition game, unlike another team. Second is that Cohen Carr looked great. Cohen Carr was fun. Really good transition offense for MSU. That's no surprise. Would have loved to see maybe Cohen Carr make a 3 or 2. Obviously, he didn't. He took 1 3, I believe, on the game that wasn't really necessarily super close.
Yeah, it was a wide open one. He didn't make it, though. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to be fun. Jeremy Fears, I know you mentioned Emmett. 2 for 4 from 3. You can see that Trey Fort can shoot the ball pretty well defensively.
Sure.
We will see what happens there. Kurt Tang, I didn't think had the greatest first half. I thought he responded pretty decent in the second half, though, so I definitely like to see that. I think his mid-range shot is a little bit more comfortable for him at this point, a little bit more confident there than 3 points, so that's definitely something you keep an eye on. You have Jackson Kohler make a 3 in this game, which is going to be something that's going to be really huge for him. I thought Jackson Kohler was really good in this game. I think he was one of the better players that MSU had in this game.
Sure.
And then
Cam
Ward, I thought he looked pretty good as a freshman. I thought there was points that he was like, okay, but you saw him make some freshman mistakes, but I think out of all the freshmen that we saw, I think Cam Ward was the best by quite a bit, even though we didn't see like Jordan Scott very much.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. I think the freshmen, the other main takeaway I had, the freshmen do have a lot that they need to show if they want to continue to stay in the rotation come conference play. This is no hate towards the freshmen. I am very high on both Cam Ward and Jordan Scott. I just think if they want to play more minutes than what Kurtang played last year, for example, you need to see them start taking those steps forward.
Yep,
Agreed. And yeah, I pretty much agree with everything. I think Jackson Kohler and Cohen Carr are going to end up being probably our two best players most of the season. Obviously, Grammy Fears
I think it's going to be up there too.
Come in, but yep, I think a lot of the season is going to be Cohen Carr watch just to see just how well he's playing in regards of playing himself into a potential lottery pick and whether or not he'll be back next year. That's the territory we might be with Cohen Carr. If he can consistently find a long, if he can, that's all it depends on at this point, in my opinion. If he can consistently knock down mid-range to long-range shots, transition threes, and free throws.
Yeah.
That was a familiar foe that came out last night. The team shot, what was it, 66%?
Yeah, they weren't good.
Yep. So that needs to obviously improve, but also October basketball.
Yep.
We'll see.
Yep.
Exhibition game. We won.
Exhibition game. You play these games to get the kinks out, so that you don't have showings like this where it could get a lot more dicey, a lot more scary. If you look at the James Madison game last 2 years ago, where we are all scarred from that.
We don't mention the James Madison game around.
I'm just saying, you play these games so you don't have the same problems you had.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, and we let Emmett get the rest of his negativity out because we're going to transition to hockey at this point, which there's really not much to be negative about anymore.
I can't be negative on hockey right now.
Well, quickly.
It's fun to be a hockey fan.
Yeah, we'll really quickly recap the last few games because we haven't recorded in a little bit. I'm starting with last weekend's series in Boston against the number one team in the country. At the time, Boston University. Friday night was a 4-2 victory. Pretty much handled business from start to finish. That game wasn't necessarily close.
Domination.
Yep. Goal scorers in that one, Charlie Strammel, Eric Nilsson, Caden Lindstrom, and Shane Van Sage. Trey looked really good. They added a late goal to make it 4-2. Trey looked pretty darn good, so that's good to see there. The following night, Saturday night, was a little bit closer. That was a 4-3 game that MSU won in overtime. Goals, a very pretty goal by Riker Lee to start scoring. Then you had Porter Martone and Tommy Manistos add, and then one of the crazier finishes to a hockey game you'll see in overtime for the Spartans to win. Cole Iserman for Boston U, who's a player that's highly touted and one of my favorite college players and somebody that I was hoping the Red Wings would draft very, very much a few years ago. He's a very good goal scorer. He had a shot that beat Trey and kind of was trickling in to go into the net and win. Kind of sat on the goal line for just a second. Shane Van Sage was able to get back and clear it before it crossed the line. That clear ended up coming out of the zone and going right to lead to an MSU 2-on-1. And Captain Matt Baskel put the puck away and got the game winner off that play. It was the number one play on SportsCenter that night. Real crazy ending. They had to review it, obviously, to make sure Cole Iserman's shot did not go in. They proved it didn't, and MSU wins, sweeps the Terriers, and reclaims the number one ranking in the country after that, as expected. So this week's polls, MSU was the consensus number one. Their first game of the week was tonight. They traveled up to Marquette to play Northern at Northern Michigan. That game went final just before we finished recording. Spartans won 4-0. Trey had 24 saves in his shutout. The Spartans outshot NMU 40-25. Goal scorers were Porter Martone, Maxim Strabak. Tommy Manisto had the empty netter, and who am I missing? Sorry, let me just check real quick. Gavin O'Connell had the other one.
It's hard remembering four things, okay? It's not just me.
Yeah, Gavin O'Connell had the other ones. Good on watching Porter again. Porter Martone's so fun to watch.
For sure.
He's been a blessing to this team so far this year. Caden Lindstrom starting to shake off a little bit of rust from not playing most of last year. He will be very exciting. Shane Van Sage's turned into must-see TV as well, and Riker Lee as well. for being an incoming freshman. He has some insane hands and is fun to watch. Trey's been doing his thing, playing pretty consistently.
So you're saying first rounders are going to first round?
Yep.
A little bit.
NHL talent's going to be NHL talent. So
Yeah.
Kind of like in football, 5-star is going to 5-star. First rounder is going to first round.
And then you have people on Twitter like a couple of days ago saying that, hey, Trey Augustine should be in the AHL and he's struggling this year. Well, good luck. Good post.
He had one semi-off game against New Hampshire. It was the first game of the year. The whole team was sluggish.
Defense stranded him that entire game, I'll be honest. I was at that
Yeah, I was
game.
going to say, defense hung him out to dry a couple times. I think everything is...
There was not there.
No.
Yeah. I think everything is A-okay, as expected. So MSU again will play Northern tomorrow night up in Marquette, 6 o'clock puck drop. And then that'll be the last game. They're off next weekend for Halloween weekend. And then their next appearance will be in East Lansing the weekend of November 7th and 8th against some guy named Gavin McKenna in Penn State. So
I heard he's pretty good. I heard Gavin
the
McKenna
hope is that it'll be me and or Matt Eichstadt on coverage for those games. So follow me, follow Matt at IKERSS98 on X. We'll be covering those games live. Hopefully we can cover both. If not, it'll be one of us one night, the other right after. I believe you also have basketball and the Arkansas game that day too.
The Arkansas games that weekend. Yep.
Going to be a fun weekend despite no football. Or maybe that's why it's a fun weekend. It was what you hear the negative part of Twitter say.
Hey, no negative. This is a positive.
I'm not even saying that. I'm not saying that.
We are being positive.
I see my comment.
We're being positive because guess what? MSU hockey belongs right back to where they are currently. Number one.
I'm traveling to Minnesota next weekend. I do believe in the football program. Okay, don't give me that.
No, we 100% believe you. Like we're just messing with you. Porter Martone is an absolute beast. This team is so much fun.
If I had to pick one team to follow, surely because they were winning a ton, I would be following Michigan State hockey completely.
They're a wagon right now. I love it. And they're going to get better, too.
Yeah, Porter Martone's goal today was absolute snipe show, to use some hockey lingo. I'm not sure how it was able to thread that shot through, but... he
also hit the water bottle, too.
Yep, took the bottle off the net. It was very impressive, so...
all you need is the water bottle shot. That's the cliche moment of hockey. That's why you love hockey.
Oh, yeah.
Adam Nightingale has the boys firing on all cylinders. We'll just say that.
Yep.
Hockey recruiting is trending very well, too. We don't need to get into the weeds with that. Just know good things are happening there. It's shaping up to be a fun year, too, because Michigan actually looks really good. They're currently number 2, I believe. Though they lost to Western today, who's number 3. So it's not like a bad
hockey
loss by any stretch.
Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
the state of Michigan is...
Not Michigan, not University of Michigan, just the state of Michigan.
Yeah, the state of Michigan is on fire. Ferris State already beat Western once this year, too, if we want to throw in some more Michigan programs. But
Northern Michigan doesn't count.
Yeah, Northern Michigan's not very good.
The state overall, I think that the games against Michigan obviously being rivalry games for hockey, too, but those are going to be a lot of fun this year. And yeah, it's going to be a fun season. I don't think we play Western this year. No, we get Ferris in the GLI. So that's kind of sad.
We get the team to beat them.
Yep. So, but yeah, it'll be must see TV every time you can check out the Spartans in
for sure.
Adam Nightingale's program. So that'll do it for that. And that'll do it for us. This episode went a little longer than we anticipated. Thanks, everybody, for sticking with us.
Always.
Emmett's negativity just bogged down the episode here.
Man.
But we appreciate it. It is Hate Week. This is, as Byron Bullis said to us earlier today when we interviewed him, this is the one chance a year you get. I mean, football is obviously king. So when football rivalry games are taking place, it's a whole different breed. And it's a lot of fun. Whether they win or lose, rivalry weeks are a lot of fun, and this has been no different. So
Tom Izzo was fired up at the end of his. Tom Izzo was fired up at the end of his press conference too. He's like, "Hey, it's Michigan week. Let's go."
It's a lot more fun when you win, though. So let's
for sure.
It is
100%.
So yeah, I would take a nice little check in the win column tomorrow. So, but everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Check this episode will go live hopefully before the game. Well, definitely before the game tomorrow, and then we'll have post game comment or content shortly after, win or lose, probably. So,
For sure.
so I guess see you tomorrow. Guys, thanks for joining me, and go green.
Go White.